because I have so many windows, when the sun does come through, it's kind of a fishbowl effect and it warms up. And so today is one of the days where I actually had to open up the doors, let some cold air in from the
Oh, wow.
hallway, just to kind of balance. I finally got to turn the heater off. So
Nice.
I'm excited because what are we? It's the 15th of December. We got 16 more days
indeed.
until 2021, which is amazing.
Woo!
How quickly
I
it's
can't
coming
wait.
up. Yeah. And actually, it's a great segue because we are going to be talking about live events 2021, how to mix things up, some planning ideas. I assume you have some planning ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do that right after this. All right. So I think it's fair to say that without Zoom, I don't know what 2020 would look like. I mean, fortunately, Zoom was around and people were able to jump on it. And there's a number of people who have been able to do a number of different events using Zoom. And then there's other platforms such as vMix, which is what we're using here at vLiveCast. And I think the biggest thing that I've been trying to figure out, and I think we've been trying to figure out, is that how do you replicate a conference? And when I mean replicate a conference, the idea that you actually have a main hall that you go into, and in that hall is where you get to see your primary speakers, your keynote speakers, whoever the main speakers are throughout the day. But when you do something, let's say on Zoom or through any other platform, you essentially are just pushing out a signal and you only get an option to see one option. Even when we did the big 4-day marketing conference, it was essentially, boom, this is it. You either watch or you don't watch. And there wasn't really an option where when you go to a conference or when you go somewhere in person, not only can you step out and get some nachos, maybe something to drink, but then there's like, oh, look, there's people. I can talk to people. You get that networking stuff. You know, you got to wear your little badge and you can go, look, this is who I am. And we can talk about who you are and what you do and all those type of things. And then there's they make these creations. They're like little cities inside of this big building where people put their logos up and they put lights and chairs and they put all kinds of cool stuff.
The big exhibit hall. Like,
exhibit hall. That's where I almost forgot what those things were called. And you got to have a booth. What it is. You get to have vendor booths. And so if you're going to be talking about virtual marketing as an example, people from New Tech and NDI and whoever can be there, all the fancy people.
Companies.
Yeah, all the PTZ camera. All those guys could show up. You get to talk with them. And I think that's really what's been missing is that, yes, in Zoom, you can do breakout rooms, but you don't have the freedom. And so
to kind of, I've done the breakout rooms before in Zoom, which can be really great because it kind of throws you into a room with some people and then you're going to be doing an exercise or a question Q&A thing or something like that, which is great. But having that flexibility of, you know what, maybe I don't like this room. Maybe I want to go to a different room. Maybe they're talking about a topic that I have zero interest in whatsoever. And it's really not resonating with me. So I'm kind of like, there's got to be another room where there's some people in there that I'm going to like what they're talking about. And I can contribute to that connection and meeting these people that are going to be a good networking opportunity. And so I think that's where sometimes with Zoom, there are those limitations. And like you said, having, when doing the webinar feature on Zoom, it really is a static, it's just here's the feed and you get to watch from start to finish. And that's really it. And, even the interaction, getting that engagement can be really difficult.
Yeah, you can always do chat.
Sometimes you get chat, or
if chat's
you can answer a question. Those kind of things.
Yeah, and if you set up Zoom in a conference style, then the only way you can commune as a participant is only through chat. You don't get to see anybody. You can't really engage. And then the other thing I was going to say is within Zoom, even when you do breakout rooms, somebody else is controlling that. So like you were saying, if like, oh, okay, this really isn't resonating with me, you're not able to leave. You have to wait for the host to actually close the breakout room. Yeah, and go back.
Let me out of the room.
We want to talk about a piece of software that we've started to use. We're still in the testing demo phase, but really excited about it because it essentially, they went out and said, okay, how can we take a in-person event and kind of replicate that in person? So let me go ahead and grab that screen. We're going to do a little
online, you mean?
Online, yeah. So I'm going to grab this, and this is a company called Airmeet, and this is all online. So you don't have to download software. You don't have to buy any hardware or anything like that. As far as all of the connections, you don't have to manage any of that. It's all being done through Airmeet. And what's neat about it is, I'm gonna move my head here.
You're gonna move your head?
I'm gonna move
your
my
talking head?
I'm gonna move my talking head. Let me go down
I'm
here.
gonna have to move my talking head too.
Yeah, we might actually move your talking head too. Let's do that.
I think we might.
Screw you down. Yeah, somewhere in there. This is all going to change, obviously, as we go through different pages, but you get an idea of what's going on here on the screen. So we created a kind of like a demo, if you will, for a cheese festival, because there was an artesian cheese festival in 2020. Artisan. I'm trying to make it extra special. Artesian.
Artesian.
Totally different. And then you got to put it's not Italian, but you got artesian.
The little extra something.
Little something. So there you go. Yeah. If I knew my cheeses, I would be using like mozzarella or something like that.
There you go. It's the mozzarella.
So the idea here was with this demo was taking an event that was in person last year, back in 2019, and going, okay, how would you reimagine that using Airmeet in 2021? Because we're heading into 2021. And kind of allowing some, there's branding, which has always been a big thing for us, is how do you incorporate branding? You cannot do that well on Zoom. But the big thing is, okay, how do we connect? So with Airmeet, once people actually log in on the right-hand side, it'll let you know who's logged in, and you're able to communicate with these people individually. Additionally, it has some information. I don't know how well you can read it, but it has my name. I've got a title, where I'm at. And then I can
connect with you as well.
I can connect, yes. And so let's actually, if I click on Sue here, I can actually send chat down at the bottom, which my face is covering right now, but we can actually collect information. So we kind of see who is here that you may want to network with. On the left-hand side, there are 4 major options. Number 1 is going to be the reception, which is what we're in right now. We have the branding. It's also letting us know what's going on as far as upcoming, what they call sessions, and this would be your main speaker hall. Additionally, we have some event partners here, and we're working. This is again a demo, so we're still kind of working through what are the appropriate size, what are the best ways to incorporate the images on the page, and then over here on the right are the different sessions, which again is that main hall where you can see who's coming up throughout the day. So you can actually have multiple sessions throughout the day. In fact, I think you built out 3 for this one, right?
2 or 3, something like that. I think there's 3. Yeah.
So out of the reception, if you want to go and see who's speaking in the main hall, you can go into sessions. And here it was created with 3. So there's a welcome session, then build your own cheese board, and then we have cheese and wine. And again, because this is a demo, we've already logged in, completed it. If you were an end user, so I'm logged in as an admin right now, so I'm able to see go backstage. Instead, what you would see up here, though, is the ability to calendar an event. So it'll actually give you a reminder that, hey, at 1:30 or whatever time it is, well, this one's 11 a.m., your event's about ready to start. So it'll let you know. And so you can choose which events that you want to go. We're not going to be able to show, well, let me just go ahead. I'm just going to log in Backstage anyway.
There we go.
What we can do here, what's really cool about this from the end user point of view, and let me pull up my other camera. This is all Backstage. So this is not live. This is what we call a green room. And in the green room, who's ever hosting the event can actually talk to, and ideally there would be another person in here, just like Zoom. It would be a split.
Side by side.
Yeah,
Yes,
kind of like,
exactly.
kind of like this, maybe.
Like that.
Kind of like this without all the branding.
Which we could actually kind of do, so yeah.
Which we can do. You can actually RMTP a signal. So if I wanted to RMTP this actual what you're seeing out of vMix into this, we can do it. So here, it's a great place. You can kind of check in. You can make sure your camera settings are set up correctly. Your mic is working, all of those fun things. And then once you're ready to go live, once you have somebody in here, you would actually click live, and then the end users would be watching this screen, and all your users would show up here. The other thing that I really like about this is, let's say I am live and I've got, you know, however many hundreds of people are watching. You can do your normal Q&A through chat. But what's really cool is the fact that I can actually bring somebody on out of the audience. So let's say I was the one speaking and Sue raised her hand and had a question for me. I could actually click on Sue as a participant. She would then show up in the software and then be side by side like we are right now. And so instead of just having the chat, oh, I see Sue asked, what's 2 + 2? When you take in the algorithm pressure resistance of lithium tire-based plants.
Sure.
You could ask, and then we could actually have a discussion at that point. So,
well, you might be able to have a discussion about that. I couldn't have a discussion about that topic. I have no idea
either. I just randomly made some stuff up. So,
okay, good.
So that's one of the other things that I'm really excited about this type of platform is now we're bringing the engagement into it, where the audience can now actually speak to the presenter. And not only can they do that, but let's go back.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more.
As an end user, I can go in and see sessions, which are, you know, who's ever speaking. If I get tired of listening to myself, because I happen to be speaking right now, I can go into the lounge as an example. And in here, you can have multiple tables. And what's really cool is, oh, I see, oh, Sue Bonzel's here in the lounge. I want to go and chat with her, see what's going on. So we can go in, and when you go in, you can keep your video on or off. I'm going to go ahead and turn mine on. And now within the lounge, you can actually engage. I got to squeeze over here a little bit, center up on my camera. And sooner or later, that camera is going to kick on. And then it's like, oh, look, we can now engage. And like you were saying, Sue, if you find that I'm just really not that interesting, you can actually leave whenever you're ready.
Do you want me to leave?
Go ahead and leave.
Am I leaving?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead and leave.
Go ahead. Yeah. So then it bounces out, and now I have to go back in. Now, that's kind of cool because I have the flexibility of, do I want to go back to the reception, to sessions, to the arena, which we haven't talked about yet. But also, if you want to, let's say there's a couple hundred people who really don't know each other and you want them to do some networking, you have the option to do what we call speed networking. So it will randomly grab people, put them in a table, and within the settings here, you can actually, I got to go into settings. You can actually set up how many minutes. Right now it's set to 5 minutes. You could do 1 minute round, 2 minute rounds, and kind of have some fun with it.
I like that because it randomly picks people. Yeah. So it's kind of like you're in, if you're there at the event, like you said, you've got hundreds of people registered for the event, and they're all here, there, and everywhere, and they're ready to be in the lounge. You go to speed networking, and boom, you get popped into a room, and you get to meet some new people, which is really cool. So
yeah, very cool.
I think it's fun.
I
I
think
like that
that's
kind
fine.
of thing. You know me, I'm an
Yeah.
extrovert. So I'm like, I can pop into any room, no problem.
Right. And all these tables can be named. So
Yes.
as an example, this one was called new to cheese, award-winning cheese. We just made up some stuff. It could be
Yeah.
whatever you want. So really cool. But okay, what about all the vendors? What if you've got people who are paying money to be a part of, who are sponsoring and being a part of? Not only do you have the lounge where people can interact, but now we have vendors. So within here, you get the branding. Additionally, I believe you're putting in, yep, social media links. So
Yep,
we can
exactly.
push social media links. You also have a link to their website that you can check out. And the other option is right here. If I'm interested, maybe they've got an offer, a 10% offer or something like that. I can go click I'm interested. And now I can say, yes, send my email to whoever the vendor is, and it'll actually send it to them. So creating connection, being able to offer more value. Yes, get on the right screen. Being able to offer more value to the people that are potentially sponsoring the event, I think is huge.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Now on that page though too, there's also those other little lounges to get in on and talk to those vendors directly. So if this is their booth. So it's just like when you're going to be at an expo and you stop by that booth to talk to somebody and you go, oh my gosh, I want to hear all about your latest projects or your latest products. Tell me about those. Well, let's get together in a chat room and now you can tell me all about those things.
And you want to join me while we're talking about that real quick?
Let me
Go
see if
into
I
the
can
arena
find you in the arena.
Yeah, and just like it is in the lounge, the same thing's going to happen. And I've seen people have used this in a lot of different ways. So also think about business meetings, think about Christmas parties, think about tech support. You might have multiple tables for tech support, so it doesn't always necessarily have to be a virtual event as an example. But here it is. Sue could be like the cheese gourmet person, and I'm going to ask a lot of silly questions about cheese because I know nothing about cheese.
Well, technically, this room was called Goats, Goats, Goats. So, I would assume we'd be talking about goats. So,
well, and I'm assuming it's going to be goat cheese, which I really know nothing about. But I told you my daughter last week. Was it last week? I think it was last week. She made some cheese. She made some
nice
curry cheese. I don't know if it was curry cheese, but it was like Indian cheese that she said was really simple because it was like milk, salt, and lime or something. And then she tried something. Yeah, she tried to make some Parmesan for pizza. That didn't work out as well. But so anyway, could make some goat cheese. So yeah, you could do some recipes. You could have some fun. But I think from a branding point of view, from a engagement point of view, this is just a really cool option because it gives you a lot of flexibility that other programs don't offer, or other software, I should say, not programs.
Yeah. Well, I also there are ways that, like you said, we can incorporate the branding like this show, the way that we do through vMix, and incorporate that into the feed in there for those speakers and things like that, which takes it to the next level too. It's not just a static camera like a Zoom feed. It actually, we have the branding. It makes it look different. It's very professional. And then there's also the capability to add some video, which is great. You and I both love video. If one of those businesses has a really cool promotional video, they want to talk about their newest product or something like that, and they want to have people see that, they can do that really easily. So I like that idea too.
Yeah, I was trying to see. I don't think we didn't have that set up on this.
We didn't, not on this one.
Banner.
Yeah, no,
Ooh, you can put a banner video in.
There you go. See, there's lots of options. We're still learning a lot of the different ins and outs of everything, but we've had fun kind of playing around in the back end of this, trying to figure out how everything fits together, what it's going to look like, how you can make it look even better. And so we've come up with some pretty good solutions, I think, so far. And we're still, like I said, learning a little bit. But I'm excited we've been talking about doing, a women's expo. You could do any kind of those expos or summits where you've got multiple speakers. You've got those booths that you want to do something with. There was another gal that I know that I chatted with a little bit, and she does a lot of work with people with PTSD. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh, there are so many different outlets and experts in that field that you could bring together as a huge resource for people with PTSD. Make it a fundraiser. There are a lot of organizations that are helping, veterans with PTSD or, any, firefighters, whatever. So all these things, I think there's so much potential for taking something and making it even better and even bigger than what we've been able to do so far.
And I think being able to do games. So even maybe you're a large organization, you're just going to do, you're not going to be able to how to do holiday, Christmas things. So maybe something in the new year or something, you have a day and then you do a breakout room. And in one of those breakout rooms, or what do we call it? In the lounge. You could go into the lounge and you could rename one of these could be bingo, one of these could be Yahtzee. So you could have all kinds of different options. And I also go ahead.
I was going to say on doing that, for a holiday party or something like that, just the boss needs to know that if he's the keynote speaker, people may leave to go to the bingo lounge.
They
do have that option. So
yeah. And I threw a video in just because you can. So it's kind of nice because you had that image up there. And so it just has a play button over top of it. And I just found so it does a pop-up essentially. And I thought, why not the holiday baking champions?
I like that. That's killer.
So
how fun.
So anyhow, so you can incorporate some video. So if the vendor actually has like a promotional video or something like that, they can go ahead and incorporate that into the event.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
So
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's Airmeet. The other thing that I think is really cool is that you can have up to 100,000 users.
Yeah.
And so that's
like
where it maxes.
Participants, people like attendees.
Correct. Yeah. So that's kind of collectively everything. And I also found out recently on the in the sessions where you actually have the main event speakers, you can have multiple speakers. You can have a total of 10 people in that. So if you want to do a panel type of thing, you can have up to 10 people in that. That does include the host who's ever managing and taking care of everything on the back end. But it's very cool because you can have multiple sessions throughout the day. And again, if, like you said, if the boss is going to talk and they're not interested, they can bounce out of that session, go into the lounge, go into bingo, have some fun, and then come back once somebody else more exciting is going on. So, and just so everybody knows, this is we're not being paid by Airmeet. This is just a new piece of software that I'm personally excited about. I think you're excited about it too.
I am. I think it's really cool. And I think you've been finding some other ones too that could serve in different ways depending on what the event is. So, we're really lucky. We're in a time right now where technology is at its best. So it's that people are building stuff that we need right now. And we clearly need more of these, different types of platforms, just like a lot of people use Zoom, a lot of people use the other, the Microsoft Teams, they like those. So it's nice to have options based on what your needs are for your event. So, and that's that's what I love doing is when we work with our clients is getting together with our clients and figuring out, okay, how do we want to like imagine this? Like, what are the possibilities? Like, what do you want to do? And then it's kind of like, okay, what can we do? Or what can we figure out how we can do? Which I really like that part, and really taking virtual events to the next level and not just saying, well, this is all we can do. This is all we've ever done. Let's think outside the box, go find some tools that we can make that happen. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think with that, just kind of talking about 2021, the fact is we're rolling into 2021. We're going to remain virtual for how long, don't know. And then of course, kind of the expectation is at this point, as the country and the world starts to open up and people are able to travel more, that the reality is virtual events are going to decline just because everybody's going to be jonesing for live events. They're going to be like, oh my God, I don't know if I feel comfortable hugging you, but I'm going to hug you. And hopefully all is well.
But there may be restrictions on that as well. You know, back in the day, you know, when we used to go to an expo that had thousands of people, there may be some restrictions on those things that is going to prohibit people from going to these things. So there can be that additional option for a virtual way to participate.
Correct. I think right now, because it's mandated virtual, everybody who's like, okay, let's go virtual, who's going virtual, and then it's going to drop. But I think it's going to drop just because everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, let me see it in person. There are going to be some people who are still a little hesitant. And so there's still going to be a need. And I think after that dips out after 6 months or a year, it's going to kind of come back up again. And we're going to see more of these hybrid events where people are going to go, hey, you know what? You know, I volunteer as a training assistant for NLP Marin. And I can't tell you, we've got couple of people in Europe. I know one gal's in Sweden. We've got 2 people from Australia, 3 people from Australia. I take that back. And these are people that are waking up at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and joining us virtually in order to do this training, because it's really not beneficial for it's not that it's not beneficial, but to fly, to pay for the flying. The amount of time it would fly from Australia to here just for a weekend class. And because this is an 8-month program, to do that 8 months in a row, it's really expensive and time consuming. So they're loving the fact that that the virtual is an option. So we will definitely see that.
And I think that, I think a lot of people have recognized and realized that their business, even if it's a local business and they have mostly served local, clients or customers, the world has kind of opened up in some ways with virtual, where it's like, there's lots of people where you're like, I can work with anybody anywhere. At this point, we've figured out how to do everything virtually. It's not a problem. So these things, I think, like you said, it could be cost prohibitive or time prohibitive to fly across the world to get to something that is, going to serve you and teach you something, and it's something you really want to attend. Now we have more options. So I think it's gonna continue. I think you're right. I think it's gonna dip a little bit. But I don't think virtual events are going away anytime soon.
No. And again, I think this is also great for larger business or organizations that want to have a way of coming together, having main focus. So have the main room where people can speak, but then also allow people to kind of go off and hang out in the lounge. And just because it's called I don't have the screen up anymore.
The lounge.
The lounge, and then you've got the arena. The arena could be whatever. It could be game rooms. It could be anything that you want it to be. So kind of, it doesn't have to be just an event. It could be a different way of just hosting a large number of people. So
I think there's a lot of potential.
Exciting. Yeah, very exciting. So if it's something that you're interested in checking out, you can go to airmeet.com, AIRMEET.com. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. You can always leave a comment below. More than happy to help you out and talk about our personal experiences, what we're finding that works and doesn't work. And I'm sure after we start using this and go through a couple events with clients, we'll have to do a follow-up and kind of talk about, okay, what do we like? What do we don't like? I know one of the things that we're looking for is the ability to duplicate. So if you have an ongoing client that maybe has a monthly event, it would be nice. That's something they're supposed to be working on. I know you weren't terribly happy with some of the, I won't say the branding, but just the background colors.
Some of the graphics, and it made things just a little more difficult to see. So I'd like to see some improvements there, but I think they're working on that as well. So I
kind of like having different palette color options.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are some things that that we would like to see different, but the one thing I will say about Airmeet that's really impressed me is their roundtable setup. So if you go into their lounge as an example, if you need tech support, you go to their tech support link and essentially put you in one of these rooms, and they have a
It's
tech person
great.
in a couple. Yeah. So you just drop in and you can chit chat with whoever. And the other thing I don't think we mentioned in here is the fact that you can send text. So if I want to share an email or a URL with people, I can share that. That makes that real easy to share that information. So
yeah, we've had a good response on any of that tech support, and you just hop on and people are there and they're ready to, they get answers to your questions, which is great. So yeah, fun stuff.
All right, that's that. All I got, unless you got something else you want to include.
Just happy holidays. We're going to be taking a little break for the holidays the next couple of weeks, as I think most people are. So we hope that you have a lovely holiday. Enjoy some time, hopefully with some family. Maybe it's via Zoom.
Yeah.
But hopefully you're enjoying some holiday cheer.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll be back on the 5th of November. That'll be our next show. Or
January.
November.
We are not going backwards.
Going backwards in time instead of forwards in time. So the 5th of January. 2021. We look forward to starting up the live show and interacting with you then. All right, Sue, until then, happy New Year's, Merry Felice, everything. And
Hanukkah, the whole deal. Yep.
There you go. All right, everybody, take care.